always a pleasure to be here when this briefing is coordinated under your able guidance and leadership. I think what we'll do, I'll give you my usual brief, and I'll try to make a very brief summary. We'll invite the acting chair of the LACC, our colleague, Councillor Toll, to make a few remarks, and then we'll invite the chief prosecutor to make a few remarks, and then we will entertain questions. We announced some time ago, I think I have lost track of time, that the task force was going global, heading to the United States and the UK for the purposes of continuous investigation, cataloging of evidence. I'm glad the minister addressed just briefly the questioning that arose: why did you indict persons and then go in to look for evidence? Let me briefly explain the legal process, the stage that we are at. An indictment is simply a charge. It's a charge under the jurisprudence of the common law countries. It's a short and simple statement that a crime has been committed, and the individual named in an indictment has committed that crime. We are not required at that stage of the prosecutorial process to provide much more than sufficient information to identify what the crime is and what act precluded to that crime and who the perpetrators are. During the investigation of this process, we have amassed substantial amount of evidence. Of course, the initial complainant was Global Witness. Remember also, not all persons who were listed by Global Witness have yet been indicted or exonerated. We have an obligation to continue that process. The fact that we have indicted some means we have evidence to take them to trial. The fact that we have not indicted some means they have provided some rebuttal information that requires us to go more, either to end up in indictment or to end up in exoneration as far as the prosecution is concerned. In that light, we are very pleased and excited about the trip that we took to London, to the UK and the US. As a result of that trip and our meetings, we are likely going to be increasing the charges on at least 3 individuals who have already been indicted, and we will be indicting additional persons. We want to give our sincere thanks to Global Witness for the degree of cooperation they have given so far in the process and continue to give. We highly appreciate the efforts and encouragement of the British government and the American government, which will lead sometime in the not too distant future with the signing of a mutual legal assistance agreement between the 3 countries for the purpose of prosecuting this case. Liberia is proud to be on the front line of this international effort at fighting corruption, and is proud to be the country that is in fact taking the lead. Let me delve into other subjects that have been of concern. As I was away, I read several news reports, and so we'll try to handle those. As of today, the task force has spent 91,000 in operations. That's including everything we have requested so far. On our asset recovery program, we have put together a team of Swiss, US, and Liberian lawyers that will put together a framework for the recovery of stolen assets not found in Liberia. We anticipate that we will conclude some kind of engagement by the end of this month, and we initiate the first action either in the form of lawsuits or other requests for assets by September of this year. Finally, our GAC list. We have concluded with the Public Accounts Committee of the legislature a joint framework, understanding in which our list will continue to be published. We expect to begin publishing an updated list by next Tuesday. We thank those who have so far, over 30 persons have submitted themselves and have provided documentation for clarification and will be issued such clarification. Again, I want to take this time publicly to thank the Ministry of Justice and the LACC. You often see me here as being the face of the task force, but I think the minister was correct. I just play a coordinating role. The work that was done in London, especially by our team led by our chief prosecutor, the county attorney who is here, was an invaluable work. I'm sure the country and our government will hear in very short order how intense, qualitative, and vibrant that work was. We are proud that they undertook this effort to go there. We appreciate the work that they have done. We are unable and are precluded from discussing in detail what our evidence is, but as we roll it out in a court of law, as we are required to do, we are certain that a jury of the peers of the defendants will return verdicts of guilty. Now we will call the acting chair of the LACC for a few remarks.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Chairman Koffa, I want to say thank you very much for the briefing. This clarification was made before by Chairman Verdier a couple of weeks ago. There are many people who think that the face of the tax force is Councillor Koffa alone. On the contrary, no. The tax force has 3 government ministries involved. The Ministry of State, 2 government ministries and 1 government agency. The Ministry of State, the Ministry of Justice, and the LACC. Correctly, as Councillor Koffa said, he has been playing the coordinating role. And the investigations in this thing is headed and carried on by the LACC. As a matter of fact, all the investigations are done at the offices of the LACC. And 3 of our best investigators that we can be proud of were part of the team that went to London. So the task force here is not Councillor Fonati Koffa alone. The LACC is an integral part of this task force and is a strategic partner in this investigation and this prosecution. As a matter of fact, 2 of our lawyers have been seconded to this task force who are helping the county attorney doing what we ought to do. So yet we want to clarify again that the LACC is not sidelined in these investigations. The LACC is a part, an integral part of the tripartite effort that we are making to bring the relief to the Liberian people and give justice to those who are being indicted or accused. Thank you very much.
Let me fire. Okay. Okay, we recognize fire as the question. We'll take we'll take almost 5 questions. And any person who is not recognized, I can assure you that the head of the task force is a very warm and a friendly man. And members of the task force are reachable. You can reach them in the hallway and they will still answer your query. 5 questions in the hall. Thank you very much. Fire.
Thank you very much, the task force. We have listened to you very clearly, and sometimes we come here to interact with you on behalf of the masses that will have the chance to encounter you. My question I'm going to ask is a question from the masses. It's not I'm going to make it. And I believe You not take it personal, but then you answer the question for the masses. The question is this. 2 of Madam Salih's children, people that she reared up, Senator Setuma and Henderson Director of former Salih, their names were placed in the Global Witness report. And I think the part of the team that's supposed to be investigated. But the doubt of the Liberian people is this. Because some are saying that because of the 2 individuals, Madam Salih is playing with the task force so they can circumvent certain areas that children will not be indicted. That's the mind of the people. 2, others are saying that because of that, the task force will not succeed because she will come with the task force. Can you explain to the Liberian people clearly? Understand?
We are not unmindful that our population and our society is awash with rumor and gossip. We are also not unmindful of the fact that we have a professional obligation to perform. The mindset of the masses out there, as you put it, is numerous. I hear people go on all day long on what people say. Hopefully we can use this process and this forum to develop a body of discourse that is more informative of our citizenry rather than dwelling in some of the specious they say that is out there. Given that, let me answer your question this way. There are more persons listed in the Global Witness report that have not been indicted than have been indicted. As you recall, some of the persons who were indicted swiftly and quickly were individuals who announced that they had no interest and in fact were not coming to the task force, that they rather have their day in court. None of the children you made reference to were among those persons. They are entitled to the same level of evidentiary standard and gathering as we will afford those persons who we are still investigating and have not been indicted. And at the end of the day, unfortunately, and this is the difficult part of a prosecutor's job, unfortunately, we will have to indict and prosecute based on the evidence. Unfortunately, not based on the sentiments. If this was an issue of popularity, I would indict all of those that the polls tell me should be indicted and we will move on. But we are simply indicting on the evidence. We are professionals at the end of the day. Regardless of what the sentiments are, we will indict and prosecute this case based on the professional standards required by us. We understand what the political discussions and the political nuances are there, and we'll simply leave it to you who are journalists that we call here all the time and that you interact with us, and we give you sometimes some relevant background information so that you can properly inform the public so that we can get rid of some of these, I will not characterize it speculation.
Okay, let me recognize the gentleman in the question with more room time.
I'm Emmanuel Chiraga-Gaswa, and I write for the Independent newspaper. Permit me to say that my concern is with cyber money.
Let me caution you. Want the question to be in pointed turn, no long phrases. Thank you very much.
I must say my question will have a root. The last time you mounted the podium, my question to you was, has cyber money made any representation? Because others indicted on our list made representation right behind me. They were built up and they went on bond by the legal representative. You did not answer that question. Now, you went to London, the home of cyber money. How was it there? Were you able to meet the authority or representative of cyber money? If you did, what was the response? Because up to President cyber money said they did not teach us no money to search private intent. So you went to London. Were you opportune to have let any official of Sabo mining? What did they discuss? Thank you.
Okay.
Because Sabo mining is a foreign entity that is based in a foreign country, the service of process upon them is a lot more than upon individuals residing here in Liberia. The trip to Sabo mining, the trip to London did not include a meeting with any criminal defendant in this case. We are happy with the role that the British government is taking. We are happy at our coordination with Interpol, and at appropriate time, we are positive that Sabo mining will be brought under the jurisdiction of our courts, and the foreign defendants will be brought on our courts. At the point at which we had to deal with Sabo mining, we have passed that point. Because when we invited them through the Minister of Information to provide several documentations, and they refused. At that point, we had sufficient evidence to indict them and foreign defendants. They are now criminal defendants, and we have no intention of going to have a private meeting to hear their side of the story will be told by them in a Liberian court before a Liberian jury. Now, we are interested in anyone who wants to make a plea bargain. Those are the only people we will meet with. If someone wants to plead in this case to a lesser offense and confess to what has happened, we are willing to entertain that. No, we are not willing, and we did not go to run beyond Sabo mining to please give us your side of the story. We are beyond that point. We will see them in the Liberian courts when in fact they shall be adjudged by a Liberian jury for the crimes that they perpetrated here in our country.
Thank you very much. Let me recognize the gentleman in the ball bearer shirt. Is it the ball bearer shirt?
Thank you very much. This is Waxy Johnson from Power TV. I'd like to say welcome back and thank you for the good job. Now, during your presentation, you said more charges with some of the indictees. In fact, 3 of those indicted. You can't tell about the charges and those 3 indictees. You are back from London. You met with local witnesses. Do we now know who is Big Boy 1, Big Boy 2? And there are people who you are investigating. Some of them are yet to be indicted. Do you have witnesses who testify in court? Thank you.
I think that's an excellent series of questions. Let me try to answer them as I remember them. As a result of our trip, we are 80% closer to identifying Big Boy 1 and Big Boy 2. I will not tell you that now because I want to be 100% sure. Because at the time we list the infamous Big Boy 1 and Big Boy 2 and indict Big Boy 1 and Big Boy 2, I want to be absolutely certain that I got my culprits. And so we are 80% there as a result of this trip. The other question, part of the question was... Yes. In other foreign parlance, so let me borrow that, we intend to supersede the indictment of some individuals. I'm not going to list those individuals because if I do, then I have to list what those charges are, and I'll be going into things that the chief prosecutor would absolutely walk out of the room and tell me when we leave from here that I crossed the line. So I'm not going to list them or the charges, but we intend to supersede the indictment. We are aware that there have been some defective filings and defective motions to dismiss the indictment. We want to see that process through first, probably, and then we will proceed. We'll rely on the expertise of our prosecutors from the LACC and the Ministry of Justice to define that course. Was there another part to that question? Okay, I think that was it.
Witnesses, do we have witnesses?
Do we have witnesses? Yes. As a result, again, of this trip, yes. We have 2 strong, solid witnesses that we will unveil at the appropriate time in whatever prosecutorial disclosures we have to make. We will review those witnesses. We believe there is one other strong witness that we are now in negotiations with, who will be with us by the time this case gets to trial. We are hoping to be prepared for trial by the first week in August.
I thought we've done 3 questions already. There's a young gentleman in green, very popular Let's go after the retire. Take a question quickly, please.
My name is Ezra for the New Republic newspaper. Prime Minister, you said earlier on you have spent 91,000 for just proceeding in this case. How much do you intend spending on to the end of this case?
How much I intend to spend and how much is available to me to spend, I think that's two different matters. Okay, I don't want to throw out a figure for anybody else here. This is international.
To you, especially to recognize the people who have raised their hand. This is for the women bosses.
Hello, my name is Fiona Benson. I write for the Women Voices newspaper. Looking at the nature of this case, I would like to know how capable is the task force to protect those people who are in the witness stand of this global witness report that will now experience what happened in the case of Noga.
Excellent question. That is part of the concern of some of the witnesses in this case. We are developing the necessary mechanism. We are confident that the Liberian security sector can provide adequate protection for anyone who is going to be a witness, who has been named to be a witness. We are confident that nothing will happen to them. We are in the process of negotiating some of those immunity and some of the protection issues for potential witnesses. And I'm sure at the end of the day, we'll have witnesses come forward. I'm sure at the end of the day, they will be able to testify freely and truthfully, and that nothing will happen to them. We'll continue to give assurance that this case is one of a rule of law, and we do not believe that any extrinsic issues will operate to interfere with it. We believe that we have adequate protection to protect all of our witnesses. Thank you for attending the press conference, and we thank the Minister of the Nation.